All right, thanks for coming, guys. For those that don't know me, I'm Michael. This is Max. Max is a Northern Beaches local nutritionist, personal trainer as well. So,
yeah, I'm just based out of G Fitness in Freshwater, over in the Harbord Diggers Club. And Michael and I met a while ago, and we've been putting together this presentation to try and condense some of our knowledges and combine both like the exercise side and the nutrition side, because when they work together, it's so much better. It's so much more effective.
Yeah, no, it's a topic that we, get very excited to talk about. It's something that, or me personally, I'm sure you as well, in clinic, every single patient, it's a topic that kind of comes up, and everyone has the question, how do I, stay strong and stay active for a long period of time? So yeah, hope you find it interesting. If you have questions throughout, just chuck your hands up, but we'll try and field them all. All right, yeah, there we are. So when we look at longevity, it's a popular term at the moment. It's been researched heavily the last kind of 5-10 years, but it's kind of 4 pillars. Sleep, obviously so important. We could talk for days about that. Strength, movement, nutrition, which we'll talk about today, and then community and connection. Excel in every area to have a long, healthy, active life. So yeah, let's kick off with the strength side of it. So we're going to talk about muscles. So to live long and active and do the things that you love to do, you need to have good, strong, healthy muscles. There's no two ways around it. So we're going to talk about muscle as an organ, as a metabolic organ, and how it breaks down glucose, how it avoids metabolic disease, which a lot of people don't think of muscle as. People just think muscle, it needs to be strong to allow me to do the activities I want to do, but muscle as an organ is just as important. And then we'll talk about it as a structure, as our body armor to help prevent falls and protect our bones and keep us doing what we love. It'd be good to get some ideas of what you guys kind of want to get out of the rest of your life and what kind of things you want to be able to do, into the next 50 years. Is there anything that kind of stands out? Like when you think about, I want to be healthy and active for a long period of time to do, what kind of comes to mind?
We've got a lady at Wakehurst who's, how old is she? 92. 92.
We want to be like her.
Yeah. She still plays golf twice a week.
Good golf.
Yeah, really good golf.
Yeah,
So
she's pretty strong.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, golf. Golf's a good one. Anything else spring to mind?
Walking, proper walk.
Yeah, without a walker.
Without a walk.
Yeah, travel. Yeah. Other ones we hear about a lot is, family, able to play with the grandkids. Yeah, not sitting at Christmas watching them play. So, yeah, muscle is the organ. So, muscle is the main place that our body breaks down glucose. So the next slide we'll go into that into more detail, but up to 80% of the food we eat gets broken down in our muscles. So if you don't have good muscles to break that down, that's when trouble comes. So if you use muscle regularly, we then become more sensitive to insulin. Again, we'll go through detail soon. I just want to get you on board with these terms. Your blood sugar becomes easier to control, and then your risk of diabetes and other metabolic diseases reduces. So when we eat, and mainly it's carbs that produces the glucose, but other food groups do as well. When we eat, the glucose then moves into our bloodstream, and that's blood sugar. Your body then produces insulin, and that's the key that moves the glucose from the blood to the muscle. Okay, everyone with me so far? When the glucose is then in our muscle, we use that for energy. Okay, that's what keeps us fueled. And then we can store it as glycogen, and we keep it like in a fuel tank. When we then exercise later, when we go to the gym, we use that store and we empty the tank. So then when we eat again, we've got more room for the glucose to move from the blood into the muscle. Everyone following?
Does that mean the more we eat, the stronger we are?
If you're exercising and you're eating the right things. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you eat, it moves into your blood. We then need to move from your blood to your muscle, and that's done by insulin. and then we need to use our muscles regularly to keep enough space in the muscle to then restart that process. Yeah, so the more muscle we have and the more healthy muscle we have, that's important, because you can have a lot of muscle, but it might not be healthy muscle, so it might not be as effective to break down your glucose. But yeah, typically the more healthy muscle we have, the better this process happens, the more sensitive our muscles become to insulin, and the healthier we are. Okay, so regular strength training is super important because it allows us to restart this cycle over and over again. If your muscles don't do that, if we don't have enough muscle or we don't have enough healthy muscle, then we become less sensitive to insulin. And that's when insulin resistance comes about. So the process of breaking the glucose down into the muscle isn't as good. We then have higher blood sugar levels. Our body then has to produce more insulin, and that's our pancreas that does that. And that's not a good thing. And then that glucose is then stored in other organs and as fat, and that's where you get that visceral fat and fat around your organs, which isn't healthy. And that's what leads to diabetes, the insulin resistance, that leads to heart disease. We get a build-up of plaque and pretty much anything bad in your body. There we go. Yeah, insulin resistance, pre-diabetic, we move that into diabetes, and then we have a higher risk of other things. So pretty much summing that up, we need to move more to build muscle to then handle that whole cycle, less strain on the body, lower risk of disease. And yeah, it's important to think about the gym. Like a lot of people, I don't want to go to the gym, it's just buff guys and girls taking pictures of themselves in front of the mirror. It's not. It's so important. Think of it like it's a medical intervention. We're actually going and doing those exercises will help us live a better life. So that's muscles and organ. Any questions? Easy, simple. All right, so muscle and bone is your body armor. So this is what's going to help protect you when you fall, amongst other things. So these are some pretty alarming stats. I'm sure you've probably heard them before. So this is in over 65-year-olds. If you fall and fracture your hip, 1 in 4 people die within a year. Yeah, it's between 18 and 33%. Yeah, but the other really alarming one here is that 50% of people after any fall, don't get back to their previous level of function. And that can be a confidence thing. It could be if you fall and hurt something that you then don't exercise for 6 weeks, 6 months, you then get weaker and you just never build that back up again. And obviously, the stronger you are before, the less likely that these things will happen when you fall. Jump in anywhere.
Thanks.
So, obviously, as we age, we get age-related loss of muscle. That's called sarcopenia. So often, we hear it in people when they say, I can't get up from the floor anymore. I struggle on stairs. I can't carry my shopping or grandkids or opening jars and things that require grip strength become more difficult. So this is a normal thing that happens. And after the age of 30, you go up till 30, and then after that, you lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. Unless you're doing strength training. So this is a nice graph. So obviously, as we were born, and then we grow and grow and grow, and then after about this 30, that's when we get this natural decline of our muscle mass. So it's important. At any age you can begin, but the later you leave it, the lower the curve is starting, so you're going to finish at a lower point. If you can get strong early and keep it, you're going to finish at a higher level. So we want to keep above this kind of threshold of disease. And there's studies.
What do you find as old or life? What age?
What age is this?
65 is often a common threshold point in studies. That's not necessarily every study, but I know that is a very commonly used age.
Yeah, it depends as well if you're talking about males or females, because females is often that yeah, 50, 40, yeah, 40 to 60 kind of time frame as well. But it just shows you can actually, there's so many studies, and I can send them to you, that you can build muscle at any age. Like people just say, oh, I'm too old, I've missed the boat. You can, like, and we'll go through one shortly. Here's one for bones. It's the same kind of thing. Here's got the ages. So yeah, you build up to about 30 and then it slowly just tapers off. But the higher level you get to, the higher level you'll finish at.
And why does female decline so?
Yeah, that's the menopause time. So the benefits of strength exercise, obviously we can build bone mass, we can build bone density, and resistance training is where kind of all the magic lies there. And then we can slow down that age-related loss. And then stronger muscles can also lead to better power, balance, coordination, and it will allow us to keep up this active life. Power is actually an important one as well. Power is kind of how quickly we can produce a force. So when you're fit, active, have good power, it's like you fall but you're able to catch yourself. As you get older and you don't do the power exercises, which is the jumping stuff, the quick force production stuff, then your ability to catch yourself becomes less. So it's important not only for bone density stuff to do your jumping plyometric stuff, but also for power stuff. It's also got benefits for tendons as well. Like you might hear about people as they get older, they rupture their Achilles tendon. You know, those things get weaker as well. So the power stuff is important there too. So this is one study. This is an Australian study, the Lift More study. They do it in men and women. This particular one was with postmenopausal women, average age about 65, osteoporotic or osteopenic. They're obviously screened to make sure they could do it okay. But it was an 8-month program doing 2 strength sessions a week, averaging 30 minutes. So not much exercise at all. Very, very doable. All their sessions were closely supervised, obviously to make sure people were doing the form correctly. But it was interesting as well from this, only one person got injured and they just got a sore back and they were out for 2 weeks. That's it for the whole 8-month study. So remember that when we talk about these exercises. So it was 2 groups. The strength group did 4 main exercises of heavy kind of strength work. So 5 sets of 5 repetitions, and that is 80 to 85% of their 1 rep max. So that's lifting a weight until they can only lift that weight 1 time, and then they're doing 80 to 85% of that for 5 reps. So it's heavy stuff. Yeah, twice weekly for 30 minutes. And then the other side, the control group did low intensity exercise, home-based stuff, 10 to 15 reps. It was mainly 3 sets of 10 to 15. And I think they got up to 3 kilos on a dumbbell. So really light stuff. And then they had a stretching routine in there as well. So this is kind of what we hear a lot of our patients are doing. I'm exercising, doing my strength work. You know, at home I'm doing my dumbbells and my squats with their dumbbells. It's just, I mean, we'll find out shortly if it helps. So the results. So BMD is bone mineral density. So in the lumbar spine, the strength group increased their bone mineral density in their spine by 2.9%. The control group dropped down 1.2%, and that's that natural kind of progression. The femoral neck in your hip, they just maintain their strength. So maintaining bone mineral density at that age is actually really good. And the control group dropped. And then the lean muscle mass, and this was mainly the men's study as well. They did more on the muscle. They actually increased muscle mass by 1.5%, while the control group lost. So this is 65 average kind of age group, but they're pretty amazing results.
What period, sorry, the control group that lost?
Yeah, that was over 8 months.
8 months.
8 months, yeah.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, so it shows if you don't do the strength work, the heavy resistance strength work, you're not going to get the benefit. It also shows that it takes time to do it. Like, don't think you're going to get results in 6 weeks. You'll get some benefit, but you really need to be doing it for a long period of time. And you don't need to spend that long on it. 2 times a week for 30 minutes. Everyone has time to do that. Other results, timed up and go test. So that's sitting from a chair, walking around a chair and back in a time period improved. 5 sit to stands improved. So that's no hands up and down from a chair 5 times. If you can't do that, it's actually a sign of frailty. You don't want to be deemed frail. Functional reach, that's a flexibility test. So they sit down and touch their toes essentially. It improved their flexibility. Leg extensor strength, that's a measure of quad strength. So they do it on a leg extension machine. That improved, and then back extension strength improved. And that was only from a deadlift, a squat, an overhead press, and a jumping chin-up. Those are the 4 exercises.
Michael, the jumping chin-up, what's that?
So they're holding a bar and they're jumping. The literature shows 3 times a week is the best amount of time to do strength work, but obviously we can see that 2 times a week will still get you benefits. But if you did a 3rd session, you'd probably be even better than that. So that 2 to 3 times a week, you have to be doing heavy strength training. There's no 2 ways about it. Swimming, Pilates, walking, cycling, all that stuff is good, but it's not going to allow you to age well and be active through that last decade of life. You have to be doing the strength work, otherwise you just don't get the benefits of it as an organ and don't get it as a muscle growth. So I'm not saying that Pilates and walking and things like that are bad. It's a good thing to do in addition. They have so many other benefits, but pure muscle building is what we're looking at. It has to be strength training. Is anyone doing that? Is anyone doing this kind of strength work?
A little bit, but I'm probably a little bit pathetic, really.
I find I can't because I've got a replaced shoulder.
Yeah.
Another bad one, and I can't lift. Well, I don't want to lift heavy things.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. There's ways around it. You know, people put on weighted vests or backpacks with weights, or they hold the weight here. There's definitely ways around it. You just got to get creative. Yeah, and it also depends on what your goal is, right? So if you're trying to get strong for golf, I mean, this would help definitely, but it's hard to do so many things at once. So it's kind of just like, what's your priority, I guess, and then pick that. Yeah, because a lot of people do strength training, you know, maybe once a week or once a fortnight, or they'll get in a rhythm for 4 weeks at the gym and they'll go on holidays and they'll stop for 6 weeks. And it's the consistency of heavy load that's going to give you the benefits. But it's hard to do a big group with that kind of weight. Like Hannah does the bone health classes, and this is what you do in them, don't you? Yeah. Do you find people surprised that they can lift that heavy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of, bear in mind in the women's bone health class, it's obviously women that are in the class. But I think that a lot of the time they might think that they could only lift 3 kilos in each hand if they're doing a squat or something. And people will come in and will keep testing in that first session, and they'll find out they can actually lift 6 or 7 kilos in each hand for 5 or 6 repetitions. So a lot of people, like Michael said before, when they're doing it at home, they might be doing it with light weights, but they're doing it for 20 repetitions or so. So it's a lot different if you take those reps away and you're doing, 14, 15 less repetitions, you can actually lift a lot heavier.
You definitely surprise yourself. I guess the key as well is you don't want to just jump tomorrow and go, all right, I'm going to lift really heavy. You're going to lift for 5 reps. You're probably going to get hurt. Like this study had, I think it was a 4 or 6 week kind of building up period to their heavy load, and then they went heavy. But I mean, that's what we're here for. You know, we take you through an assessment, we find out what your level is, we then base the program on that, and then we progress it as you go.
So what about golf fit? Do you think that fits it?
You'd probably do some things in it that would, and you might do an hour session, and 20 minutes of that is heavy strength stuff, and then the rest is the control and the balance and the jumping. That's definitely fine. You probably do that. It's just that you're doing it 2 or 3 times a week, maybe. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're better off doing heavier weights for less time,
Yeah.
lighter weight for longer period.
When it comes to,
Strength.
yeah, strength training, yes, definitely. Strength training for a long life, yes. Otherwise, you're working different muscle systems. You're working muscle endurance system, which isn't going to have the same effect. So that's where if you're able to do your 8, 9, 10 reps, it's too light and you're not going to get the strength benefit. Because when the heavier we lift, the more muscle fibers recruit, and the more the muscle works and builds and asks more energy from our body and empties the fuel tank and gets all those good things going.
Can I ask a question just about bone density? You've been doing it for decades. We've heard lift weights for bone density. Is this the kind of weight that's needed to improve bone density?
Yeah, yeah,
so
definitely.
The 4 or 5 kilo reps aren't doing anything.
No.
Okay.
Probably get Hannah in here again. She's the bone health expert.
If there's not like a certain level, it's obviously very dependent person to person. But again, if people come in for like an assessment with me, I will get them to do initially as many as they can. If you're lifting 4 kilos in each hand, like you were saying, and you get to 8 repetitions and you go for that last 9 when you're like, I can't even stand up from there, like my muscles are fatigued. For you then, that might be that level. But for someone else, if they do that and they whip out 20 repetitions, then that's not heavy enough for them. So it is very, very person dependent. But a good way to do it is if you have weights at home and you're doing a squat, see how many that you can do. And if you can do more than 8 repetitions, because when Mike was saying you want like 5 or 6 repetitions, you want to have about 1 or 2 reps in reserve from that. So if you do 6 repetitions, you're going to be like, okay, I can only do that once or twice more until my legs would give out. So it's a good little test to do at home to see how many can you do. If you can do more than 8 then that's a sign that it's not heavy enough.
Yeah, so some people might start with 2 kilo weights on a squat. Some people might do a 100 kilo squat. Yeah, it's all independent. Cool. So yeah, other exercises, good for other things, but just not going to cut it for what we're trying to achieve with a strong life. So what exercises are best? We want to focus on the big movements that mimic what we do day in, day out. So squatting, getting up and down from chairs, hinging, picking things up from the floor, pushing, as well, being able to get up off the floor, pulling things and then carrying things, and the balance stuff. So there's so many different options. Again, it's going to be different for everybody and your level. You can do squats with bars, with dumbbells, you can do single leg squats, you can squat from chairs or boxes. All that really matters, and this is the same with all of them, 2 to 3 times a week, and we're progressing over time and hitting that kind of strength target that we spoke about. Hinging exercises, you can use dumbbells, kettlebells, shopping bags. Pushing, you can do wall push-ups, floor push-ups, chest press. From the floor you can use bands, you can add weights. Pulling, again, you can do seated pulls, standing pulls, bent over pulls. Bands, weights, it's a lat pull down as well. Who goes to the gym? Who has a gym membership? Yeah, nice. Do you guys have weights at home otherwise? It's where it gets hard. Often you max out your weights at home pretty quickly. And yeah, you either then need to buy weights or join a gym. Carry, so the farmer's carry is the main one where you're walking with weights or shopping bags. I'm sure you can find bags at home and just fill them up with whatever you have. Keep your milk bottles and fill them up with water. And then we lost the picture. And then you're jumping. So that's a jumping bar. That guy looks like he's levitating. He's world's strongest man. But skipping's a good one, but it's very hard. Like often, if you're not a good skipper, you can't get enough jumps in. But you can do squat jumps as well. That was the other picture. You can do that holding on if you're worried about balance. But yeah, that's that kind of plyometric jumping stuff. And that's what's really the gold for bone health as well. So how we test it here, we have force plates somewhere at the back there. We also measure grip strength. Grip strength's a really important one as well. It's actually a test of mortality. So some papers, if you don't have enough grip strength, it's a sign that you're going to die within a certain amount of time. I don't have the complete stats, but some papers are just crazy with this stuff. But we purely measure it with a dyno, and you're just squeezing it will produce out your force. If you have bad grip strength, you then can't hold, this is going back to what you said, you can't hold heavy enough weights to then work your muscles hard enough. So working on your grip strength is important as well. And then we do obviously individual strength testing so we can make a specific program. All right, so bring it all together. So we eat food, glucose in the blood, insulin moves the glucose to the muscles. We then use the glucose when we exercise, empty the tank, and that process starts. And then muscles, the stronger we are, the more protection we have around our joints and our bones. So when we do fall, if we fall, we don't break anything and don't die within a year. We can change the trajectory of aging. You can build muscle at any age. So the key thing is just start now. Just start with something and then we can build onto it. Even if it's you go home and you just do some squats at a chair, or you do some little hops. It doesn't even need to be off the ground. It can just be a drop, toes to heels, or just grab some weights and walk around the house with them. Just start with something and then we can build from there. All right, that's me. Any questions?
Very interesting.
Thank you, John.
Rooted into action.
Oh, just with the resistance thing, so does that mean the more weight we have, if we're using self-resistant?
It would, but not enough.
The message isn't put on more weight to make it easier. So you don't have to buy weights. That's not the take home.
We'll talk on that later.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm Max. I'm from Solve Health and Fitness, and I want to open with someone mentioned Christmas and being strong enough and fit enough to run around with their grandkids. Obviously, I don't have my own grandkids, but I'll share my kind of side of that, which is my grandfather is 94, and last year at my cousin's wedding, he was up, he was dancing, and genuinely for 3 hours, he was on the dance floor. He wasn't moving fantastically, like he's not getting any awards, but he's shuffling, he's dancing the whole time, and like what was so beautiful about that was he was able to kind of be his real self and express himself and dance and like show that for his grandkids, and we all love that. Like as you can imagine, the entire wedding loves a 94-year-old man dancing for a few hours. And so I talk about that because it's not necessarily just length of life when we talk about longevity, it's the quality of time in that span, isn't it? So it's really that health span. And so that's what that muscle mass does, and that's what we're going to talk about with our nutrition, which is supporting that health span, how well you're living in that time. And really what we want is nutrition to support our muscle mass, support bone mineral density, again we've covered those two, and then healthy vital functions. Really why we want muscle mass, movement capacity. So you can dance, so you can play golf, so you can walk, all that stuff. Then fracture resilience, we heard those stats about how common the mortality rate is after you break your hip, and then also returning back to full capacity, full function after those fractures is very, very difficult as you get older. And then it's energy, it's focus, it's the ability to like be yourself, and nutrition can help support your cognitive function as well as all of your vital organ function. So to support muscle mass, we need protein, and I'm sure everyone's probably heard that, and you can kind of see in every supermarket now, like every product has protein slapped onto it. That's because it is becoming so important. People are becoming so aware that it's really, really needed. And so over 46% of people in the developed world don't meet their protein requirements. And then this is a similar stat. 3 to 8% of your muscle mass is declining every decade. So it becomes really, really important to get that. The amount that you need, does anyone know how much protein you need per day? Has anyone heard this number before?
15 to 20% of your calorie intake is protein.
Yeah, it can be close to that. It's 2 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you're 90 kilos, you need 180 grams. it's kind of vague what 180 grams of protein is. Does anyone know what that actually looks like? Yeah, it's until you track it. Yeah, a big steak times 4 or 5, sadly. It's quite a bit. And so you can use other things. If you struggle to eat that much, you got to use protein supplements. And the best way to figure out if you're eating enough is spend a day. You can download an app, or you can even just look it up and track how much protein you're eating. That'll give you a really good idea of, okay, am I near my target? Am I roughly around it? If you don't want to track, look up a meal plan that has the right amount of protein for you. That'll be really helpful, and that gives you a good baseline to then aim for. With this, it gets so confusing. People talk about all sorts of stuff, and you hear lots on the internet because people are optimizing their protein for sports, for bodybuilding, for building as much muscle as they possibly can. For our purposes, all that really, really matters is this one here. This is going to give you like 80% of the benefit, which is just enough protein intake across the day. It's that total. It's getting 2 grams per kilo of body weight. The distribution across the day, this is just how much, like, are you having protein at breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack and dinner, or are you getting it all at your lunch or all at your dinner? It doesn't matter as much. Like if you had 4 steaks for dinner and that was all of your protein and then you didn't have any other protein throughout the rest of the day, not ideal, kind of a weird meal to eat, but it would still work. But ideally, we spread it out across the day and you're going to get a better effect. The reason you're getting a better effect is because your body has more protein and it's constantly using those proteins and synthesizing them, keeping your muscle growing and recovering from any of that strength training that you're doing, or stopping you from decaying in that same period. Protein quality, this can go quite deep, and it's again one of those things you don't really need to worry about. People harp on about like supplements and amino acids and all this stuff. If you're getting enough, if it's through soy, if it's through tofu, through beef, chicken, fish, eggs, all that stuff is great. Just get enough protein. Protein timing, that's really sports relevant. No one really needs to worry about that. Next one, we're going to look at bone health. And Michael touched on those stats before, so I won't repeat them. But 2 main nutrients, a mineral and a nutrient. Calcium, which everyone's heard of. Calcium is very important. It's the primary mineral that deposits in your bones to help them solidify, help them be strong. So we need enough calcium. And then vitamin D, think of this as like the delivery driver. Vitamin D for delivery, easy to remember. Because that's going to help you absorb that calcium. It's going to help deposit it in the bone. And when they're taken together, you get much better effects. So with those, you can eat them pretty regularly. Is there anyone who can't eat these foods? Anyone who's lactose intolerant? Yeah.
And
is it
eggs. I can't have dairy and eggs.
dairy and eggs? Okay. And then for you, I would highly recommend a supplement because that's why we have them. When you have these gaps that we need to fill, supplements are probably the best place to go to. Eggs, you don't really need a supplement for, but definitely the calcium. You can get your blood work done. That's the best way to check if you're actually deficient in any of these nutrients. So talk to your GP about that. Yes.
What's in the Roman wall? Is that ceiling?
That's cottage cheese. Cottage cheese, yes. Any other questions about these?
And the one straight up, right?
These. Yeah, so legumes are a really good source of vitamin D. And so this is all about building that fracture resilience. And we want this because all of the work that you're doing in the gym, which everyone loves so much, I know you want to do more of it, but with that work that you're doing in the gym, you want to get the most out of it. So if you're doing this, you're actually making the most of that time rather than getting more 50 to 60% of the benefit. You want to go all the way. You may as well, just by changing some things. Next, we're going to talk about energy. 2 key nutrients here. We have iron and your B vitamins. I just grouped the B vitamins because there's a lot of them. There's a whole bunch of foods here. I'm not going to touch on them all. Most people actually get them, but as you get older and typically after about 65, 70, your stomach acid changes and you become less efficient at absorbing them. So you need to have a little bit more. And a very common one, is anyone here in here vegan or vegetarian? Yes. Yeah? I do B vitamins with B12 in particular would be one for you to look at and supplement because that is very hard to get without eating it. So very, very common for vegetarian and vegan diets. B vitamins are so important because they help us take in all of the nutrients and actually absorb like those micronutrients. So it's not just calories, it's actually the good stuff in the food that our body needs. It helps us absorb that. Iron, this carries oxygen, this helps our blood carry oxygen. And so when you're iron deficient, you've got less oxygen in your blood, that's when fatigue comes on, you enter anemia, all those things. We don't want that. So getting iron, really, really important. Postmenopausal women, this one is very, very important too. Both of these nutrients are actually. And in general, iron can be supplemented. Again, blood work is the best way to tell if you need that. Any questions on energy and how this improves your energy levels, improves your cognitive function? Any questions on how to eat any of these? Would any of this be outside of your diet? Nothing too strange? No? Good. And so most of them are relatively normal. Does everyone eat meat or fish at least a few times a week as well? Yeah? Fish is a really important one, particularly when it comes to energy and cognitive health. It's those omega-3s. And one thing is with that, you want to be looking at getting it from cleaner sources. So if you can get wild caught fish, it's going to be a lot more dense in those omega-3s, and you're going to get a better ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. Omega-6s aren't bad, but they're more inflammatory than the 3s. So wild caught is better. If you can find that, then you can get it.
Next things like shakes, protein shakes.
Yes. They're good. Yes, they're very useful, particularly when we come back to that muscle mass slide. So protein. If you're struggling to get your daily protein intake up, shakes, fantastic. What I would look for with the shakes in particular as well, there's some protein shakes that say like mass gainer, and they're called that because they're for bodybuilders or athletes who are trying to get as many calories in and put on as much weight as possible. Avoid those mass gainers, you don't need them. You're probably getting plenty of calories regularly anyway, and just get there's a few brands that I can recommend if anyone has any questions at the end, but yes, shakes are a really good way to do it. And shakes don't just have to be in a smoothie or in a shake. You can put it on oats, you can mix it into other things, make like baked dishes out of it, there's heaps of options. The internet is full of them these days. Hydration, another key ignored nutrient. It's very simple, but it's going to make your cognitive function better, it's going to help improve appetite regulation, it's going to improve digestion. So many things are working properly when we have enough hydration. Even being 2 to 3% dehydrated, you end up having a decline in cognitive function when they do like executive function tests and focus tests. So that becomes really important. The big thing here is like you can't out-exercise a bad diet, and no one really wants to try that. So we really want to just get the most out of our diet instead of getting the most out of our exercise, and those pillars really work well in conjunction. There's not anything in particular that you need to eat. There's not like one single food that will solve everything. It's looking at your diet holistically and being able to make it predictable, make it consistent, and make sure that you're getting enough protein, you're getting those key nutrients regularly enough. And another big point is like it doesn't have to be every meal. You can have a drink. You can go out and have cake or have a bit of ice cream. But it's figuring out how that works across your whole day and across your whole plan so that A, your weight isn't fluctuating too much, or B, you're not actually entering like higher like blood sugar states if that's an issue for you, anything like that. So, any questions? I'll leave it on this for a bit. Any questions about nutrition, about...
Are most powders whey-based, or are they...
There are like pea-based powders. There's pea, there's egg-based ones. Have you ever tried the whey ones? Have you had any like issues or allergies to them? Some people do.
Yeah, I just feel heavy after the meal.
You feel heavy after? Yeah. Do you generally react well to lactose?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah?
Milk
Okay.
yogurt's fine.
Yeah. I'd recommend either an egg-based one. I know that sounds kind of weird, an egg-based protein powder, but they're not like that. Try one of them, and
Or pea, you said.
yeah, or pea. pea can be quite good as well.
I get that with normal protein powder. I have to have pea, plant-based protein powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't have.
It's not a specific thing, it's just
Mm.
to feel heavy.
And if you do find you're at a period of your life where like, I just don't want to eat a lot of those foods, I don't want to change this, that's when, particularly with some of those key nutrients, emphasizing, get that blood work done, make sure you're in healthy ranges, and if you need a supplement, anything, just go and get a supplement. That's just going to be a really easy way to solve that for you. And it's going to require the least amount of change in your life from that point of view. Is there anything else about nutrition that you guys want to know?
One thing that I noticed that seemed to be relatively absent from the slides was fruit, conventional fruit, apples, oranges, berries,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah, there was in a few of them, but yes, lots of those images didn't have them. Fruits, again, they do hold a lot of those key nutrients. In terms of B vitamins, in terms of iron, they're not as relevant. These two, they're not as relevant. So it's like they do hold other essential nutrients, but just for the subset categories we spoke about today, probably not as relevant. And yeah, protein, there's not a lot of protein in fruit. Yeah.
A bit more sugar in fruit. So
There is.
where's the sugar coming from?
Okay, yeah, good question. So sugar's a confusing one because it has been demonized a lot, but sugar is not inherently bad. There are good sugars, and fruit retains a lot of nutrients. It also has a lot of water. It also has a lot of fiber, which is very good for you. What becomes more important is calorie density. So like sugar, people normally think like it makes you fat. Is that generally the main concern with sugar? Yeah? Yeah. So sugar is not the reason that you will get fat necessarily, it is the calorie balance. So you could eat as much sugar as you, not as much sugar as you wanted, but as much sugar as you could within a certain calorie limit, and you wouldn't put on weight, you wouldn't change weight. And so that really just comes down to knowing how many calories in a food and what to eat. So that's why you can eat a lot of like health foods, lots of like dark chocolates, nuts, things like that, which are fairly calorie dense, and they're healthy. Like they're healthy because they contain nutrients, but they're also calorie dense. And then people put on weight and they're confused and frustrated, and it's part of it. It's like not knowing. And I've dieted myself. I've lost over 23 kilos, and I was eating so many nuts, and like I couldn't lose weight for a very, very long time. It was because of calorie density. I said never heard of it, and I spent a very long time dieting. So yeah, very good question on sugar. Anything else?
How much water of that should we drink?
How much water? Varies for body weight, but roughly between 2.6 to about 4 litres per day.
Wow.
It's quite a bit, yeah. You can be going to the bathroom a lot. On that though, on that, tea counts, coffee counts, milk does count as well. Again, there's a calorie component for milk and coffee, if you can have milk with your coffee really. But all those other drinks actually do contribute to your day. So if you don't love sitting there and sipping on water, sip on a tea, sip on something else as well. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Cool. Any other questions, or we're good to move on? Fantastic. All right, Michael, do you want to come up and we'll do the next bit?
Yeah, we're out. Oh yeah, we touched on this. It's just like how we can help you guys do this. We do one-on-one strength work where we'll do the whole assessment with you. We'll look at your strength, look at where you need to be, put the program together. We also have group class options, which we might actually look at adding on another group. The one-on-one stuff, if you haven't done lifting before, that's kind of where you have to start. And then if you have a gym membership, you can take that program and go and do it at the gym. But yeah, that's kind of what we look at. We use obviously the equipment here. Other things I didn't touch on, like when you want to look at, if you're interested in your body composition and how much skeletal mass you have, like this could be a thing that we do at the start. You can do body composition scans, like the DEXA scans, the gold standard, but there are so many other ones. You guys have one at G Fitness?
We have one at the, not a DEXA, but like a BIA.
Yeah.
And not as good. Yeah, you can also, like if you're interested in that kind of stuff and tracking your body composition, tape measurements are really good. Just taking tape measurements, and that can help track changes as well as weight. And then you can do some rough calculations that give you estimates on bone density, put you into like risk categories for metabolic health, all that kind of stuff.
But DEXAs aren't, like it's a good thing just to do. They're not that expensive anymore. Like I think you can get a DEXA for like $90.
Yeah, like 70, 90 bucks.
Yeah, and that will give you a really good idea of what your bone density is.
Sorry, what is it?
It's a scan that will tell you how much muscle mass you have, tell you what your bone density is, how much fat mass you have, your whole composition of your body.
Where do you do it?
A lot of imaging places have it.
There's one in St Leonard's, I know. I'm sure there's one. I'm pretty sure there's one in DY as well.
Yeah,
See what you mentioned.
there's a few around now.
Do you need a
It'd be
referral?
No, you don't.
No.
It's on the main road, the corner of Fisher and Bigwater, I think.
Oh,
Right there, upstairs, I think.
It can be really interesting though, because if you are serious about making some changes, you get a scan at the beginning, you get another scan 6 months later, and you can see the differences in all of your work. Gives you nice numbers to look at and go, cool, that wasn't a boring, tiring waste of time.
Yeah, that and a blood test as well, and you can see all the things that you may or may not be deficient in. You can see how well your blood sugar levels and all those other things as well. Those are two really good kind of baseline tests to get. Then you can kind of start the training.
Okay, and so I'm also I do one-on-one nutrition consulting, and then I'm also doing a nutrition for longevity implementation series in January. In terms of how Michael and I are working together, we're doing a little bit of a bundle if anyone's interested, and do you want to touch on that a bit more?
Yeah, so it's an initial strength assessment and an initial nutrition consult. You obviously then get the personalised plan, and then there's a follow-up session on that in there. In the initial, you kind of decide when the follow-up is. It might be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, depends on the person. And yeah, just a good kind of kickstarter to get things going for those that aren't already doing it.
Cool. And so that's $100 off if you buy them together, and then
okay.
yeah,
You buy them together.
if you buy them together, yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Alright, I've also put together, and I'm going to send this out tomorrow, a little meal plan book with some of those foods and some of those recipes. It's pretty simple. It's just like foods broken down into like lunch, dinner, breakfast, snacks. Cool. So if you want to receive that, just scan the QR code. You can get that. Cool.
Yeah, we'll send out an email tomorrow. We'll chuck that on it.
Yep.
And
cool.
yeah, and a little like home exercise program that you can start with if you're not doing anything as well. So yeah, we just want to, like we said, we love working in this space, and it's so rewarding when people aren't doing it and then realize how much they can actually do. It surprises them, and it's one of the really rewarding parts of the job. So yeah, we just want to get more and more people doing it.
Fantastic. Thank you guys.
Great.
Thank you.